Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. New camera. The lighting in the office could be a little bit better. I'm working on that. Still in the office. The move to the new office is taking a while, but we got to do it right, so it's going to take some time. I got a comment on my last video asking me to talk about what you do when a player can't make it to the game. Schedule issue comes up or what have you. How do you handle that in the game? It's a good question. It's a really good question because it's a really common problem. It's so common it's kind of become a meme in and of itself. I need strong men to go to Mordor. As well, you've got my axe, you've got my sword, you've got my bow. I can't make Tuesday. Can we? Things happen, life happens, and despite the fact that you've got this uh, ongoing narrative that involves all of the people at that table, sometimes all of the people at that table can't be at that table, and this can be a real problem because you've got people relying on one another's specializations, or that person has a place in the party dynamic that you're going to miss. What do you do? Let me address this in two different ways. First, how you handle this at the table. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. You're in mid situation and you stop for the week, you come back and one of the players just can't make it. What happens to their character at that point in time? The game master can certainly, with that player's permission, take over that character as an NPC for the session. That way, the party has access to that player character's skills and stats and their specializations, everything that might have been needed, especially the game master had planned for there to be that kind of a need. Although that is a little bit demanding on the game master. Let's face it, the game master already has an awful lot to do at that table, and playing another person's character at that table is going to degrade the remainder of their performance. You might be the best game master in the world who can just juggle that character without any difficulties, and if so, go for it. That's absolutely great. But if you're not at that level of performance, a divine or infernal, depending on the alignments involved, messenger shows up, and that character is needed elsewhere badly now. The messenger leaves a token with the party. I'm borrowing your insert class here for a mission. Hold on to this. When they have done what we needed done with them, they will be able to return to the person carrying this token. That can make things fun if the token gets borrowed by a villainous NPC. And it takes that person out of the play and leaves some questions for later on down the line. Is there a reason a demon showed up and asked to borrow you for a while? Is there a reason you said yes? And then the player and the game master can work out a little backstory, and you can enrich the game world that you're in with that extra little bit of storytelling. Or they realize that there is a obligation to their clan, their family, their faction that they absolutely need to get back to. They really wish they could finish this dungeon out with you, but if they don't go now, people close to them are going to die. Come help me when you're done here, please. there are a number of reasons the person could get called away. They could get captured. If you're in that kind of a situation, bad guys can just, there's a trap door or some ingenious clockwork device snatches them from the back of the party, and now you're going to have to go find them as well. They become an objective as well as a member of the group. And, well, it's just going to take a while to find them. And once they're found, they might be a little roughed up, and you'll need to get them back to where they can get some healing. But they're not going to be able to contribute too much in the meantime. No matter what approach you want to go with, it should be something worked out between the player and the GM. Take a few minutes between the games. When the player tells the GM that they're not going to be able to make it, even if it's just a few minutes before the game, take a few minutes with that player and ask, well, how would you like me to handle this? Do you want to be NPC'd for this, or be pulled out of it? What would you like to do? Or alternately, the rest of the characters, you could take an episode to do a flashback for the rest of the party to a time before when that character was a member of the group, or that one time that they weren't around. And again, they start reminiscing about that one circus that they traveled to, that they ended up having to do stuff. And they start thinking wistfully about this circus as the screen transitions. And now you've got this thing to run, which can add lore and background and experience, so you're not advancing the current narrative with someone absent, but you're adding a little flair. And if you do something like that, you can give the absent person a little time before the next game to come up with some flair and background of their own. Give them a little time to add to the story. Maybe, well, what were you doing when everyone else was attacking the haunted circus? What kind of stuff would your character been doing about that point in time? Maybe run a little one-off, or just work it out narratively that something happened. And that way, when you guys get back together, everyone has a slightly richer background. And you snap out of your reverie, realize you're all standing around together, and, well, there's the dungeon you were going into. Have at. If a person is going to have to do this more than once, it's going to be a thing that they are not going to know for a while, whether week to week they're going to be able to make the session. Maybe you accommodate that by adding story elements that make that absence, explain the absence. They have a teleportation device so that they can pop back to their master's library or some other resource. So in the middle of the adventure, well, I've got to go research this thing. Maybe I can find some insights into how we can get through this. And they're just gone that session. While everyone else is doing stuff, they're out picking up extra lore. And you can hand them that lore as you get back into the next session where they can be. It's like, guys, I found this thing. And that way you can not only advance the storyline, but it's a good way to introduce information to the group that might otherwise not be able to get it as transparently as that. I like the teleportation device. They can pop in and back. It's not a general teleportation device. It allows them to leave the group, maybe with a beacon in the group that they can always get back to. Someone's got to carry that crystal, or add back to the library or the mess hall or whatever the place that they go to get their extra information. Maybe it's a rogues guild hall back in town or what have you. It's that thing that person goes and does and that player can't be there. I guess in short, if I was to give you a faster answer to this question, when the person can't be there, find out if they want to be NPC'd or not. And if they don't want to be NPC'd, then come up with a narrative reason. It doesn't have to be a good narrative reason. It doesn't have to be a complete or even understandable narrative reason. There's something that they've got to get done, and it is so important that they got to go and get it done now. And the metaphysics of the universe contribute to them being able to leave the group for a while and get right back to it as soon as they're done doing that thing they got to do, and that person can show up to the next session. It's an exercise in storytelling. One for the game master, but the game master can distribute that load a little bit. The person who's absent, they probably want to have some input into what their character is going to be asked to do during that time, what kind of stuff. It's a great way to introduce fresh background elements. And the rest of the party, well, they can be a part of that. They can conjecture about what's up with this person. They can add to the question and mystique, the lore of that missing character. Why would he be going at this point in time? Does she have a master that could be exploiting her? Do we need to keep an eye on this thing? Does that seem like it was a little bit abusive this time? Maybe we should follow this up. It could lead to a whole new adventure or another campaign down the line. And that's always value added. A character's absence is tricky and can offset your narrative, can also add to it. Just takes a little bit of thought and communication. That's important. Speaking of which, I said I was going to answer this question in two ways. And one way is how you deal with this narratively in-game at the table when it happens. The other way, when the person comes to you and says, I'm not going to be able to make it this week, I'm sorry guys, I just don't have the, I got a thing, I got to deal with it. It's a outside of game response. Yeah, no, that this stuff happens. Is everything okay? Can we help? Is there something that we can do? I always like to throw that. The people that I game with are my friends. I have, sometimes I have games where my friends get together and we decide to game. Sometimes I have games where I have started a game someplace and people have shown up and become my friends. In any case, if there's something I can do to help them with the situation they found themselves in, I like to know. Do you need help taking somebody someplace, or with driving, or you're going to be okay? Do you need? What can we do to help? You might end up individually or as a group. It's like, can we take this week and maybe go take some food over, or just make sure everyone's okay? Just see if there's anything you can do to help support this person. That might even get them back to the table a little bit faster. If they've got something that is just monumentally on top of them and there's not much they can do aside from work their way through it, many hands make light work. And having a few friends show up, even if it's for moral support, bring in beverages and snacks to support the body and mind, that can be a big help. And it might not be your traditional gaming session, but those sessions are ones you'll never regret having. Because you could help. And that's always a good thing. Well, thank you very much for following me along in this particular rant. Again, the lighting should be better coming up soon, and hopefully the image quality is better. I'll know when I review the tape. And yeah, things are moving ahead, and I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. Well, I'm Scott DeCorum. This is what has mattered to me. Thank you for watching this particular episode of Matters of DeCorum. And now over to Uncle Drac for the outro. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this video, give it a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If there's any other topics you would like to hear Scott talk about, questions you'd like him to answer, subjects you'd like him to cover, please leave a comment down below. He will love getting your comment, and you will love leaving him one. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, why not? This channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the little notification bell so you're alerted when these videos become available. If you would like to support this channel in a more substantial manner, we invite you to hit us up at the Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows us to create better content more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.